Zones is going to be leading his way here at the start of this Grand Prix. Geton hunting him down. And realistically, that long run up towards all the way down the Camel Straight is very long, and that's going to be the major issue. But turn 1, we've seen Carnage here in real life. We've seen Carnage here in the F2s earlier. Are we going to see Chaos and Carnage here in the F1 races?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Alright then, here we are. The lights are on at the Belgium GP now as we need to see the starts be clean and fast. And it's go time. It looks like Zone's got quite a nice start. Also the same sort of situation for Samidia, who's had a fantastic run coming down the inside. There's a Renault going for a move. Is that Brownie? He's stuck on the inside. Zone's actually fighting with Geton here as well. Geton has actually taken race lead. Hugo's on the back of them too. He's very much ready to go for anything that he can find. We've got yellow flags as we see at the very back there. Danico and Copy have been caught up with Higgsy. Virtual safety car is out.
Just to make sure that when this VSC ends, as it's doing right now, he goes away. Bombs it.
Who is that? Is that Samidia going for a move down the inside of Vexit? Yes, it is. He's trying to get there with his teammate. He's also allowed Patrick T-Bus to get in there as well. Vexit has been robbed. He's actually trying to get side by side with Patrick through there. That is not something he can do quite easily. And as a result, he does fall down. You can see now Brownie all over his gearbox. Vexit is very much feeling the pressure as Brownie's going to look down the inside and take a very tight line. His back end is steps. Oh, he catches it beautifully. But Top Tom's now on his gearbox. And now it's just constant. This is what I'm saying. It's very much a train, a constant chain reaction of how this is going to go down. More mistakes happening. And now Top Tom is ready to go on Brownie. Brownie's actually lost a lot of time here to Vexit. But Geton takes race lead, then gets the virtual safety car to help cement that, get it more. Now, it looks like Zones, who's unintentionally going to go for a move here. He turned everything off, but he's going to have to take race lead. But they are going to go side by side. They almost touched wheel to wheel, but they kept themselves clean. But this is fantastic news for Hugo's. It's given him the lifeline that he needed to pull him right back in a little bit. But Patrick Seapost, he is well within the DRS range here. He's having a bit of network issues. He's rubber banding around just a little bit. He didn't actually burn that much DRS, but somebody is also very close to Hugo's. And, somebody's gone. He's gone right off the track. He's had to take the runoff area. He's going to have a rejoin. That's not the way to rejoin the circuit. More contact. Vex has been sent off into the gravel over towards the wall. The yellow flag in Sector 2. Are we going to see a safety car? But Vex's race has just been destroyed.
Yeah, and Geton as well, the first time in this race that he's actually got DRS. So, a little bit of a lag spike seems to put Zones like a half-tenth back. That definitely dropped him. But Geton just there trying to make the move on Dennis. Dennis is defending this though. Wasn't really making the defence against Geton because he just had so much overspeed, but he's definitely not just letting Zones go.
Yeah, I think Zones just got a warning there as well for stepping out the outside. He's going down the inside into Revive. This is such a difficult corner to get the inside manoeuvre locked in, but he has in fact done so. Although Dennis is still sticking his nose in. Dennis just loses the back end, and Zones has got free, but look, he's outside the one safety car. We've lost Dennis. That's into the corner with no name, and we have a full course safety car. Watch the pit lane light up now. We have only got 9 laps to go. Soft to the end is very doable. Are the race leaders going to do it? Well, Zones is, but Geton isn't. This could be race changing now. Zones is in. Hugo's is also in. Brown has decided to stay out. Top Tom is in. Samidia is staying out as well. Yonti is in. Vania will have to wait a little while to see if he decides to chuck himself in there. But this is huge for Yolta. You were wrong there. Geton has decided it's time to go. Brownie didn't get caught out and not had any issues either. Somebody at P3 is going to stick cozy, but Zones is the one that we're worried about because he's the one who needs to get through this pack as quick as possible. Is he going to go for a Yeetus into P1? Into track 1, sorry? No, he's not. Oh, I had a little look down the inside, but he's not going to quite get it. He's going to have to get the exit, though. This is not the way to go. 2x2 coming up towards Rouge Radio, and you definitely don't want that, but he's already burning his ERS. He's turned it off because he doesn't want to get right onto the gearbox as you come up the hill, but he's gone right back onto it again. Here we go, then the exit has to be clean. He's got a penalty. This is disastrous for his race, but he's going to get the move done on Samidia regardless, and he should be able to keep himself in P3, unless Samidia has just somehow got a miracle to yeet him back into P3 once more, and he hasn't. So Zones, yes, he gets the position taken in the first few corners, but he gets a 3-second time penalty, which is going to cost him massively. That will make Rwagnation feel the pressure and make mistakes. Zone sees the same sort of situation and he's going for it. This is going to be crucial, and he's closing in nicely. He's got the position locked in, but he has to get the tight line through Leikum. And I think those softs are helping him through that, not a problem. But here's where he has to push. And look at the ERS difference. Safety car, it's a virtual safety car, but we have another safety car. Vexit has crashed and retired.
Like keep tapping the brakes and trying to get the ERS back up. Just try and farm it a little bit. Because right now, he's not going to be able to make the gap. Zone's got all the tools to stay within that kind of 3-second margin.
Geton is done and dusted. A drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. We thought Zones was losing this race when due to his 3-second penalty, and Geton has just shot himself in both feet. Geton is feeling fighty. He's going to try and cause some issues for Zones somewhere. I mean, realistically, your head is scrambling right now, trying to figure out a solution. How do I get some points, get anything out of this race?
Again, I'm not...
Wait, Top Tom and Brownie, they're having a bit of a scrap of the run. It looks like Top Tom's got himself up into P5. They were going side by side throughout the entirety of Leikum, but it has brought themselves back into this situation. P5 for Top Tom, P6 for Brownie. I don't understand where Brownie's pace has just suddenly disappeared. I guess maybe it's the 11 lap-old mediums that he's currently on. But Samidia, who has a 10-second penalty given to him by the stewards, is up there right now in P3. Very likely to take P2 physically on track.
So he needs to at least try and argue his case.
Oh no. Patrick, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to Brownie. He's going to get onto the curb. Oh, they had a little bit of a scare there between the two of them. You know if you're Brownie, it's a definite car, Brownie. But he's going around the outside in towards the bus stop chicane. He's locked that one in. Patrick Seapost. What a fantastic outside overtake there. I mean, even Yonti getting a nice podium here would actually help him in his drivers, because he's behind Yolta, remember. He's P12. He needs to get into the top 10 in order to secure himself a spot for next season. Otherwise, he's going to have to fight for it.
Yonti P3.
I didn't even realize that was last... I was too busy yapping. I didn't realize, Yonti getting P3, a huge set of points for him. Zones has locked it in. Samidia is P2 provisionally. The stewards will, of course, have to apply that 10-second penalty unless it is appealed and removed. But that was such a crazy GP.
Yeah, that was insane.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Rwagnation League, round 15 here in Italy. I'm Ben Regan McConnell, and joining me at the caster's desk is the beautiful Mark Hombadger Meiklejohn. How you doing?
I'm feeling very beautiful and pretty today, yes. How are we?
Yeah, all flowering and, you know, full of all the emotions, you know. Well, I mean, we saw the F2 races; it was fantastic. Yes, lots of chaos, but I'm expecting it to be a little bit more refined here in the F1 races. This is a track that I absolutely love to watch. Every single time we've been here in the past, it has delivered hands down every time. And this is the circuit we're talking about: 3.5, almost 3.6 miles long, 11 turns in total with 2 DRS zones. But realistically, you're only going to want to use one of them for a proper overtake. The other is more of a set yourself up and hope you get through Ascari without any real issues. But this is how the championship looks currently. They keep chopping and changing, but currently it's Zones leading the grid. He's 243 points and Geton in P2 with 224. Then it's starting to spread out a little bit more. You've got somebody there in P3 who's had a good spree of success, with Brownie there in P4. But the person who's kind of hanging in there, just not quite in the top 10, is Yonti. He had a fantastic race last week. He got himself a nice P2 with huge points gained, getting 48 points, and he's actually tied with P10 currently, which is Yolta. I'll get the full grid rundown for you when we get into the actual race. But the constructors, McLaren 294, very quickly being chased down by Williams and Mercedes 264 and 239, if my eyes are correct. Yes, I think they are. I'm getting old, what can I say? Was it 259, was it?
259.
Ah, well, the lobby has now started, and the driver to show us around the circuit is Yonti. Home straight, DRS run all the way up towards turn 1. You want to keep over to the left-hand side and brake when you get just about to 120 meters, maybe a bit less than that. Really quickly down the gears and clip the inside curve quite nicely, but not too much. And then get the run out of turn 2 quite nicely. Now, coming up towards Curva Grande, this is a corner where you're flat out the whole way through. There's not really an opportunity to overtake. You can go around the outside, but you don't really want to, because coming up in just a second is a chicane that you need to be quite slow into. Hard on the brakes, cut the inside curb on the left, and then cut the curb on the right. Don't cut too much, you will invalidate, and don't run too wide, you will hit gravel. Coming in towards Lesmo 1, this is a very awkward, slow corner. You want to get your foot down as early as you can, but you don't want to do it too early because you'll run wide and into the gravel. Again, Lesmo 2 now, coming into one of the most important corners on the circuit, not the but one of. And DRS went wide up, and as you come all the way down the hill in towards a very tricky corner to get absolutely spot on. Hard braking zone. Get yourself down the gears, cut the inside curb on the left, and just ride the right side a little bit, but cut the inside on the left just a touch. If you're esport drivers, you absolutely yeet it. Now, the final little straight here as you come in towards the very famous Parabolica. This is a corner where you want to carry as much momentum as you can through here. This is the most important corner because the run out of this corner will set up nicely for either really good attack on the driver ahead of you, especially when you've got the wing not wide open. But then when it comes into the defensive maneuvers, if you can get a really good defensive run there, you should be looking pretty good coming into it. Now, just a reminder, before we chuck any predictions out there, Rainbow does, in fact, have a quali ban to serve. He served his first one last week. He's got another one to serve this week. And he should be good to get going any minute now. So, with that in mind, what's your 1, 2, 3 for this weekend? I do want to hear from you guys in the chat as well, actually. So please let me know you'll put your qualifying predictions in the chat, and I'll read them out in the stream. But Badger, what have you got?
So, first of all, I want to say that it took a remarkably long amount of time before we saw the first car go out on track. So, with that in mind, I am going to presume that we have a wet race. Just people tweaking setups, you know, just trying to get ready exactly for what the race could bring. That is my guess. So with that in mind, I think everyone, realistically, going to be qualifying on soft, so there shouldn't be any alternate strategies if it is definitely going to be wet. So in my mind, you can't really look past zones to take this one. Get owned will be a very, very close P2, and I hate to do this because every time I do it seems to never show up, but I'm going to say top Tom 3 P3.
Yeah, see, I'm with you. I honestly, I've spoken to Tom a couple of times. But you know, both through voice chat, but also through text chat. He is one of, if not the nicest guy ever in F1. Genuinely one of the most decent guys, and he has a lot of pace and potential. But yeah, like you say, every time we want to celebrate him, we want to get him to do well, just doesn't quite perform. And then when we underestimate him, he smashes it every single time. So I'm not going to put him in my top 3 just purely because I'm hoping that I can reverse commentator's curse. Not that it works like that at all, but yeah, I think he's got a good chance to be in there. But the Williams drivers actually giving each other a pretty huge tow here coming towards this guy. That's quite good. Oh, a bit of a mistake there from somebody though. That one helped him through Ascari. So I'm going to go P1 zones. I think you're right. P2 get on, but P3 I'm actually going to give it to Browning.
That's a fair shout. You know, we know he's a very good driver, and his qualifying pace particularly has improved a lot over last season. So it's definitely something that he is in the running for. I just want to make a quick diversion and talk about last week's race and get owned with that, you know, final 4 laps drive-through penalty. He would be leading the championship right now with a little bit of a margin, if not for that mistake. And due to that, he's, you know, almost fell an entire race victory behind now. So yeah, it's tough. And I spoke to him afterwards, and he definitely said, you know, yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, but he wasn't going to appeal it. Just because, you know, he saw on his dash it said something like negative 0.06 or something, so it was very, very close. But he was like, yeah, it was definitely a mistake on driver behalf. So, you know, he openly admitted it. He'd already straight away put it behind him, and as you can see, he's straight away flying out there.
Yeah.
So he's definitely managed to stick it behind him, and it's not letting it bother him, which is really good to see. It's a really good, strong mental attitude. So I do definitely think that he knows that he's in for a fight for this championship, and he is going to be absolutely flying from here until the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I like Gerlund a lot. He's honestly one of the most respectable people on the grid. A very quick driver, very modest. Every time I do an interview with him, I have to egg him on to give me some sort of like cocky prediction because he just never wants to give me one. But you know what? Fair play to him. I really like his driving style, and I want to see more from him coming into the remainder of the season. But I love how close it is between him and Zones, continuously swapping places on that Drivers' Championship. But also, talking of championships, in fact, we'll get the, whilst everybody's bringing themselves in for a quick reset, there's the standings. That's how it looks right now. If you also look at the bottom of it, you can see the constructors. Williams are P2, and they're very close to catching up to McLaren. Bear in mind, they have not really had any sort of like race wins. I think Hugo's has actually won a race. I think if I remember back to Spain, I think that was yeah. But somebody hasn't won a race. He's had a couple of P2s. Don't get me wrong. And he's had some really good point scoring positions, but through consistency, through being that little bit quicker than the rest of the drivers, he's been able. Well, they've both been able, sorry, to score huge points. And also, don't take anything away from Yenab. He did race for them for quite some time at the very beginning of the season. I think like the first third of the races he raced in them. And he also contributed to these points that they're scoring right now. And this is fantastic stuff to see. Honestly, Williams could genuinely take the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, consistency for both drivers has been really, really good. Whereas for both McLaren and for Mercedes, it seems to really be kind of one driver, you know, dragging up the team. So I would really like to see both Florian and Vanier have a much better race. Vanier, I know, he said to me earlier that he has practiced more for this race than he has done for any other race this season. So yeah, my fingers are crossed for him. I don't quite think he's top 3 potential, but I do think if he can just nail it together, he could definitely be in the top 10 and really be challenging and bringing home those points. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing that, you know, I want to stress is that this is absolutely a two-man show, and the whole league is built around it being a team. They all have race engineers, or at least they should have. They all have reserves, or at least they should have. You know, the race engineers are looking at the telemetry. Forsetti, for example, he's somebody who has week on and week off been there for his team to provide them the telemetry, provide them that information, that vital information that helps them contribute to these decisions, that allows them then to score these massive points, and that allows somebody to get into these podiums, allows Hugo's to get that race win and these podiums he keeps achieving. Without these race engineers telling him this information, it's really difficult for you to succeed here. And, you know, every component within that team has to really pull their weight in order for it to succeed, and that's why we're seeing such a drastically back close constructors. Look at Mercedes. They've got one driver who's absolutely smashing it week on, week out. You've got another driver who's hit and miss as to whether or not he's doing well or not. In Vania, like you say, he's practiced more this week than he has for any other. So who knows? Maybe he'll score huge today. But then look at Florian. He's just invalidated for the second time. He spanned the first lap coming out of Ascari. And now on his second run, he's actually had to bring himself back into the pits to reset and go again. He needs to get that consistency up.
Yeah, and I've just touched again on just how vital it is as the team component. You know, last week, and every member of Williams last week was feeling terrible just from the incident with some idiot, and no one more so than some idiot. I know he happened to be practicing for hours after the race trying to recreate the incident, which was very difficult for him to do. And you know, the whole thing started with some desync, and it just spiraled out of control, and he got a penalty for it. And you know, it really, these drivers are so invested in this league that it really did cut him up, and he was trying lots of different ways and trying to learn and adapt and get better. So I expect Smidic to be having a very strong weekend this weekend. He's going to want to try and come out and regain those points that he lost. Yeah.
You know, just kind of touching on that too. He's, if I'm being honest, you're not meant to have favorites as a commentator, but he's actually one of my favorites, purely based on he is so passionate about racing. He's so passionate about his racecraft, the way that he presents himself on the track. And we've had our first retirement. That is Dennis.
He's coming out of Ascari. Yep, out of Ascari. That he's
which is a shame because he's actually looking pretty racy. Look at that, 1:18.348 was his so far personal best. That's pretty good going. He was already running as one of the fastest out of the ones who'd already set a time. Of the 13 drivers that had set one, he was 5th fastest. And I think there was a couple of tenths in there for him at least.
Yeah, he could have improved a little bit there, but that's a shame. His time will stand, so you know it's still there to be beaten by the other drivers behind. But yeah, that's heartbreak for Dennis. You know, after what, as you say, was a really solid start to his qualifying.
Phoenix Legend is bringing himself back into the pits, so 1:19.386. And I'm told this is going to be his final race. There's a Racing Point facing the wrong direction.
He's missing a wheel. Yep.
Oh, he's out. I didn't even see he's retired. Yeah, that's the Ascari number 2 then.
Yep. And what you just missed before that was Hugo's getting a great big slipstream from some idiot. But whether that was enough.
Oh my word. Oh, I thought that was huge. I thought that was a 17. It looked so good.
Yeah, it was close. It was getting very close. He was, as I say, got a big slipstream, but I think, you know, the distractions from the Racing Point in front of him, from Danico, might have put him off a little bit just as he was coming through Ascari. So definitely wasn't an ideal circumstances to be trying to set your fastest lap in, and he ended up losing what looked to be about 2 or 3 tenths actually in that sector 3. So not ideal for him.
Now, the only driver running today for Renault is Brownie. He's here, and he's actually shown us time and time again that he has a really good level of pace. Just, I don't know, like, since half of the season onwards, he's kind of been struggling to not get involved in an incident. Hungary will Hungary will ignore that. That was absolutely not his fault. There was nowhere for him to go. You know, Patrick just had a bit of an issue. Caused him to rotate, and Brownie ran into the back of him. That would have been a huge podium for him. I feel like, if you remember back to when Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg were scrapping for the Drivers' Championship between them, and constantly Lewis just kept getting met with problems that weren't his fault at all. I feel like that is exactly the same situation here for Brownie. Top Tom, I don't think he's got a qualifying ban.
I also don't think he has. As soon as I seen that, I'm just grabbing my phone to check in the verdicts channel. That's
might be an old one, maybe.
Yeah, he's definitely not done it out on track, so that would suggest that it's.
Yeah, it seems definitely voluntary. It has to be if he's done it there. Anyway, we'll worry about that whilst you figure that out. Rainbow obviously does have a quality band, so he will be starting, well, as it stands, he's starting P15, because if the others don't get a time on the board, he's just going to start there, and I think that's, well, he's actually going to start at the very, you know, the worst case scenario, he's going to start in P17, because Top Tom and Danico are out. They've not been able to get a time on the board. This is going to be good news for him in that respect, but the run-in towards turn 1 on Monza is, ooh.
Yeah, that's always going to be a difficult time. Top Tom has received a qualifying ban.
What was it for?
He on his flying lap, it looks like he blocked someone. It looks like he might have blocked Vanya on his flying lap.
That's a shame. Well, I'm watching Safso here, going through turn 1-2. Looked pretty quick there. Look nice and tidy. Did choose gear 1 through there, which is not something I would normally say, but Patrick Sipos, I mean, this guy is definitely a qualifying machine. If you remember back to Hungary, he absolutely smashed it there, and then he actually smashed it in the race, physically. Now he's done it again here in Monza, a 1:17.6, and I'm pretty certain he didn't even get a toe. I think he did that all on his lonesome.
Yeah, I can't actually see. I mean, his teammate is in the pits, or just coming out the pits just now, so yeah, he most definitely did not get a toe. Unless he grabbed it off someone else that was on the track. But yeah, that's a great lap time there. And realistically speaking, though, Monza, you kind of want the toe. So if he didn't get one, he could go a couple of tenths faster than that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's nuts about it. Oh, Safso just kept himself within track limits there. Alright then, coming up to the line, this is going to be an 18. It's just outside. It's a 1:19.136. Currently, right there on the back of his teammate by 3/10. Best of the rest. However, you know, there's still plenty of opportunity for things to change for him. He did say, right before we started commentating together for the F2s, he did say, ooh, maybe I'm not feeling as quick as I thought I was, because these guys, if they're chucking in 17s, then yeah, he goes, I can just get into the 18s, he said. So maybe he's not going to be starting that high up, but we never look at him for his qualifying. We always look at him towards his race. We've had another spin, is that?
It is Alex, I think. Yep.
I don't know if he's had a spin or if he's just not
I think
pushing.
it looks like he's just trying to let the guys behind go, but I think, to be honest, he had enough of a gap. But hey ho. Yeah, now he's on his way. See what he can do. But he definitely seemed to have enough of a gap to start his flyer. Hopefully that's not, you know, killed his tyres off too much. They look okay. And let's see what he can do on his flying lap.
Well, Patrick P1, Geton P2, Zones P3, and actually look at Vexy. He's 4 thousandths of a second behind Zones. That's just how much is in it between the two of them. So fair play to him for being able to be so close together. But Patrick just seems that little bit further ahead. I am told by my good friend Mr. Forsetti that I am 40 seconds out on the time you see in the top left. So whatever you see in the top left next to the Q is the time remaining, but then add 40 seconds to it, and that's what the drivers and the actual session is seeing. So there's 1:45 to go before the checker flag will fall, and that'll be the last chance they get to get a lap in.
Yep, and right now that's Get-On coming out for his flying lap. He will be hoping to try and find a couple of tenths and retake a provisional pole, but I'm actually quite surprised that Zones, you know, right now he's sitting P3, which obviously is still very, very good, puts him in a very good position, but he's not usually over a tenth behind Get-Owned for these qualifying sessions. So might be have some issues.
Florian finally gets a time on the board, and he's actually pretty good. He's got himself up there to P7, and that gives him a 1:18.286.
Yep, a good lap time there. Set it right in the moment he needed to. So now he just, I mean, it looks like he's trying to do another hot lap on these, but I would presume you wouldn't want to do that. But he's definitely going for it, so he might even think he can get faster on a second lap on them.
Oh, Hugo's, he
Vanya.
leaps up there as well. Look at that, P3.
Yep, Vanya's retired there as well, so P14 is the best he can finish.
Zones. Oh, P2 by just over a tenth. So it looks really good here for Patrick because Zones cannot improve. Vexit, though, he might be somebody who can change things into this race. He's been very quick in the past, but his ERS is turned off, which makes me think he is not going to commit to this lap, and he will stay P5. Now, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but Patrick Sipos is looking pretty much untouchable up there in P1.
You say that, but Get Owned has just started his lap, and so far he's only 400ths down. So it's definitely still all to play for this pole position.
I think ultimately it's going to come down to how quickly you can be through Ascari. That was so clean through Lesmo too. This is honestly going to be a rapid lap now. Coming down the hill and then slightly back up again. Hard braking zone into Ascari. Cut the curb just nicely. He has done that. This is going to be a fantastic lap as long as he doesn't make a spin like that Copy has just done. Off into the wall he goes. Get owned. This is a very quick lap. Patrick has retired. He will not be able to improve. So can Get owned get himself up to the very top here. Through Parabolica now. The run has to be clean, and it has been. He's given it his best. Has he got enough in the tank? He hasn't. He's close, but he just gets P2. And that is all he's going to get for now.
Yeah, that was a really great lap time, which just shows you how good Patrick's time was. You know, in zones there, only 100th behind. But this is how close these drivers are. You know, the championship battle could literally be decided by one mistake.
Yeah, it really can. It really can. Well, that's qualifying over. Patrick has locked this one in then. So 1:17.628 is the pole position time set by Patrick. Get on in P2 with Zones in P3, and they are just a tenth and a half separated. And then you got Hugo's and Vexit close together. Sumidi is only 2,000ths behind Vexit. I reckon, I mean, this is a track where the toe and DRS are enormous. And if you get outside that DRS train, you are pretty much out of the running for whatever points you think you're going to get beforehand. But honestly, this is going to be a really, really fantastic Grand Prix. I can feel it.
Yeah, and just a fun note, Hugo's there, fastest in the speed trap, but the likes of his competitors like Get Owned and Zones were way down the bottom, so interesting.
Yeah, well, the rundown is as follows then. Patrick, P1, as we said, very quick lap time from him. Get on P2, Zones P3, Hugo's P4, Vexit P5 with some idiot really close to the back of him there in P6. Florian gets a good lap time in finally in P7. Dennis, who did DNF pretty early, he actually still qualifies in the top 10. P8 for him. Higgsy P9. Brownie rounding out the top 10 with Yonti taking us just outside that 1 second margin and best of the rest. Safso, his teammate in P12. Then Copy, Vanya, Phoenix Legend, Alex Bud, Rainbow, Top Tom, and Danico. Now remember, Rainbow, Top Tom, and Danico all didn't get a lap time in because both Rainbow and Top Tom both had qualifying bans, but Danico just crashed on his own accord. Whew. So, this is going to be an interesting race, purely because everybody's going to go for softs mediums or medium softs. I actually think those that are going to go from mediums to softs, they're actually looking pretty good for maybe even a podium here.
Yeah, the all-in strategy can be quite powerful. It just really depends on the absolute out-and-out pace of the guys in front. So we know that Get Owned in Zones usually can just disappear off into the distance. But what can Patrick do from pole position? Can he keep up with the race pace of Get Owned in Zones? Has he got that within him? Or is he going to run into problems like we've seen in the past? Right now, I wouldn't count on him finishing on the podium, because someone on the alternate strategy might be able to get a jump, and to be honest, I think Zones and Get Owned are going to have too much speed, and they will overtake and disappear from Patrick.
Yeah, consistency is my issue for Patrick, I think. We saw what he was like in Hungary. Granted, that is a very difficult track tyre-wise. The temperatures do just skyrocket, as we've seen in the past. But here in Monza, that isn't the case. Tyres can be managed really easily. Tyre wear is not that big a deal because basically it's a load of chicanes and a couple of straights. So I'm not expecting there to be that much Oh, get on, just clipping the grass there. I thought he was done and dusted. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I think penalties are going to basically decide who gets on the podium today. But yeah, chat, we want to hear from you. What is your P1, 2, and 3 going into this Grand Prix? I want to know what you've got. Let me know in the chat. I will read them out, and we'll see who's got the wacky predictions today. So, Badger, in the meantime, whilst we wait for these predictions in the Twitch chat, give me your 1, 2, 3, please.
Get owned, zones, and I think probably I'm going to say some idiot. I think some idiot can work his way through and finish on the podium.
Well, Noosa has given us our first prediction. He says Patrick P1, Zones P2, and then Yonti P3. Now,
it's a bold claim.
Yeah, I love Yonti. Honestly, probably the nicest guy ever. I'm saying that about a lot of people, but he is genuinely one of the nicest guys ever. I do genuinely believe that he is fast. I just don't think he's this level fast to get himself into the top 3. However, again, I did say a reverse strategy is huge. There is a possibility that he may actually nail it down here and get himself up to the front runners. But we shall see. We shall see. Coming into the grid boxes then for the start of this Grand Prix. I'm just trying to fix the notification thing, but that's not working. So scratch that. We'll have to wait and see. We have some racing to get underway with. Oh, Patrick, can you get a fantastic start coming up towards turn 1? You're going to need a really, really controlled throttle to give us the absolute bee's knees up towards turn 1. Here in Monza, lights have gone out, but we have to wait just 1 second. And there we go. We are away. Patrick has got quite a nice exit, actually. Zones looks like he's got a fantastic start. Get on the inside, though. He should be able to block this off unless Zones can actually flick down the inside. He cannot. Get on will defend it quite nicely. Patrick will come in towards turn 1. There's a little bit of late braking going on. I can't see any carnage just yet. Everybody seems to be just okay. No wing damage. No yellow flags. No safety car. Lap 1, turn 1 at Monza.
Yep, and Get Owned and Zones are fighting side by side quite a lot there, but who's going to get this into the braking zone here? We've seen this move with Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel.
I thought they were done there. He was trapped on his inside. I thought he was over and out, but no, it's a carnage down at the back though. Vanya and Rainbow seem to have had a bit of contact between them. Wing damage on the left-hand side there for Rainbow. He's got a lot of wing missing there for him. Yellow flag sector 2. That is in fact Alex Budd, who is stuck facing the wrong direction. It looks like it's a rotation on his own, or at least he's got no wing. Sorry, he has got full wing. But yeah, he's still going at it. Vexit challenging Hugo's.
Yep, and right now we've got the nearly a second gap from P1 and P2. So, you know, what my worries about Patrick not being able to run with the pace of Get Owned and Zones looks to be for naught, because he has absolutely got the pace.
Well, Phoenix Legend has managed to get past Safso. The soft tyres seem to be working a lot better for Phoenix than anyone else. So Patrick now has got himself ahead of the P2 runner. That is Get Owned by 1 full second and a little smidgen. But he has to hold that down for another lap. Now Get Owned will start to feel the pressure and realise what he's got to do if he wants to keep hold of this P1. Zones is at the same time kind of at the mercy of Get Owned here. He can't quite get past him. And penalties are starting to creep onto the board. That is Top Tom with a 3 second. I think Danica also has the same. Yes, he does. And Rainbow, the first person in the pits. Unsurprisingly, that wing was very much broken.
Yeah, he's definitely needing that replaced. But I just want to point out, Patrick's still got 90% of his ERS. You know, Get Owned and Zones behind are burning through lots trying to keep up with him. Like, Patrick's sitting there very, very comfortably.
Yeah, he is rapid. Honestly, fantastically. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in esports in the next year. Honestly. I think he is a very quick driver. Again, my only focus really is he needs to keep his consistency up. He cannot afford to get penalties, and that's going to be the most crucial thing. More crucially, though, Get Owned is just within the DRS here. Obviously, we're not going to get on the home straight because we're not yet through lap 3, despite the detection zone being where it is. Florian and Brownie, they've swapped places. Brownie's down the inside through Barabolica. He's up to P8 now. And Patrick Seapost sets fast his lap, but immediately gets it destroyed by Get Owned.
Yeah, Get Owens kind of turned the wick up a little bit and he's got himself back into that 1 second margin. And but the pace of these guys is just absolutely on point. And Zones has just dropped out from that 1 second. He's just sneaking back in it, so it could be difficult for him.
Florian and Brownie had a little bit of a moment there between the two of them coming in towards turn 1. Florian tried to stick it down the inside of Brownie into turn 2, and I think Brownie may have turned in a smidgen too early. I think it's nothing more than a racing incident. No damage on either car, but a fair bit of a scare there. And time lost for Brownie. Look at that. 1.5 seconds now is the gap. The incident between Rainbow and Vania on lap 1 is under investigation. And Vania getting himself a 3-second penalty is more salt to the wound. Geton really needs to get a move on now. Patrick still on 78% ERS, where Geton is in the 20s. Patrick is looking untouchable.
Patrick's doing so well, and I mean, as you say, he definitely has pace. My issue with him is refining that pace, you know, just honing it into a very consistent and strong practice. Whereas right now, you know, it seems that sometimes he can be absolutely blindingly fast, and then other times it's just every corner he's doing something that's just a little bit wrong, and it's causing him problems. But right now, he's been untouchable in both qualifying and race.
The stewards have been in touch regarding the Rainbow and Vania contact. Rainbow has received a 5-second penalty that will be added at the end of his race for the contact between him and Vania. There is a yellow flag coming through. That is Florian. Oh, he's had a lot of issues. He's facing the wrong direction and his wing is completely destroyed. His race is in bits. He was looking okay in the qualifying. I didn't quite catch exactly what happened in towards turn 1 there, but he's limping now. Back to the pits for him. Copy gets past Safso. Safso's coming right back at him. Copy's actually falling down now here. I don't know what's happened to him. He's backed right off here.
Yeah, and Yonti's there just right on the back of Higgsy, but he's not managed to make the move stick. The kind of caught him in the wrong part of the track where it's pretty difficult to overtake, so now he's going to have to see if he can stick with him all the way back through the back straight.
Yeah, I mean, he's okay in terms of DRS. He's got DRS, whereas Higgsy does not. Hugo's is looking very much under threat. Get on with a huge 3-second time penalty, and Vexit almost found himself buried in the wall at the exit of Ascari. He did catch that beautifully, but he now needs to hurry up, get back into the back of Hugo's, but also make sure he doesn't have any more of those issues. If he does, I don't think the next one's going to be a catch. The next one will probably be a wall.
Yeah, it's very difficult right now for these guys. They're all trying to just run at the pace of the guys in front, and right now it's proving very difficult for even people that we know to be incredibly fast, like Get Owned. Yeah,
I mean, he's usually somebody who never has these issues. Penalties are not something he normally gets. Danico lining up Safso down the inside, coming in towards turn 1. It's going to be a hard break for him. He might just run a bit too deep, but no, very well calculated there from Danico. Gets himself up to P13, and Top Tom, who we know has had issues so far in this this race, is very much looking like he's under threat here from Danico. Safso's not out of this yet, but he does need to hang in here. Remember, these guys are on the alternate strategy, so we're expecting him to be slow in the first stint, but much faster in the second.
Yep, and right now, looking at the alternate strategy, Yonte is kind of the highest up, but he's only made 1 position. Everyone else is pretty much sticking where they've been, or only been fighting with other people on the alternate strategy. So no one's really made any headway, but it does kind of still sit pretty for Jonte. You know, if he can maintain a decent pace, he's not really too far from the guys in front, so he definitely can make this work. But he's going to have to defend from Phoenix Legend.
This is honestly the weirdest race I've seen so far. Patrick, who normally looks really like he's pushing constant. Oh,
we have Higgsy that's just went into the wall.
Did he do that on his own?
Yeah, he was just lost at the final turn. Just as yeah, I don't actually know what had happened. I was kind of on board with Yonte at the time, and I just saw the dust spark up in front. So not great. That's put Higgsy right down the order. He'll need to come in. He'll probably stick on the hard tyres and just try and go to the end as he gets his new wing.
Now, Top Tom just lost out on a position there to Danico, who made another home straight DRS maneuver. Now, he is 4.2 seconds away from Phoenix Legend, who is the gatekeeper for the points. However, he does also have to worry about the drivers behind as Higgsy is coming out of the pits. Rainbow's got on through. Copy's going to get past him as well, I think, or at least they're going to be scrapping coming into it. It's going to be a late break there from Higgsy. Copy's there alongside of him, just about stays behind him. Higgsy will hold on to P16 for now, but he is on hards. Remember, these guys that have all been into the pits have all chucked in hards and are looking to take these right the way to the end. Easy to do, but you're not going to be very quick doing it.
Yeah, you're really kind of hoping that there'll be some sort of instance in front of you so you can maybe, you know, jump into the pits later and put on a set of softs and try and fight the pack afterwards. But right now, they're in for a lot of pain for the rest of this race if they don't have any safety cars towards the end of it.
I also want to point out, Zones, who's normally somebody keeping up with the, or at least leading most of the time, is actually struggling today. 2.7 second gap, 2.8 now between him and Get Earned, and that is mainly down to what I was saying earlier. You get outside that DRS train, you're losing a lot of ground. The tow is enormous, the DRS is enormous, and it's been proven right here, right now. But Hugo's and Vexit and some idiot, along with Dennis, all keeping within the DRS train for P3.
Yeah, Dennis with that mistake in qualifying, remarkably didn't actually cost him that much. But yeah, as you say, I wanted to touch on the Zones and Get Owned situation right now. I mean, as you say, Patrick's someone that you think could be, you know, esports level at some point if he can just, you know, refine. And Get Owned, yes, he's got the slipstream in the DRS and he's burning through a lot more ERS. He's right there, you know, he's in Zones there with a 3-second penalty. So right now, Get Owned sitting pretty against his nearest championship rival. They're equal on penalties. But Get Owned, you know, is someone who he's had an esports level teammate, and yes, he was getting overshone a bit when Tomic was in the team. But once Tomic left, Get Owned's really stepped up to the mark and is doing exactly what he needs to do to really drive that team forward. And despite not having Tomic as their kind of star driver, you wouldn't really think it when you look at their current drivers and constructors championships. You know, they're right there.
Yeah. Vexit. So Zone's actually lost out to Hugo's on the home straight. He's already under attack here from Vexit, who I think might actually go for a late break zone here. This is not the ideal run you want. He's backed out a little bit. Zone's gone deep. Big mistake there from the Mercedes driver. That's allowed the Red Bull driver of Vexit to keep himself in this, but Zones takes the runoff area, does get himself back into his position, and crucially stays within DRS of Hugo's. Yonti getting a penalty. More penalties starting to liven up. And like I said this earlier, and I'll repeat it again now, I'm pretty certain the podium is going to be decided on who has the least amount of penalties.
Yeah, we've seen that quite often, and someone that you can almost always count on for that is some idiot. You know, he will take these soft tyres long, he will put on the medium tyres and get a lot of extra pace out of them for the final few laps compared to those around him, and he will not have penalties, so he will shoot up.
Brownie's made a big mistake coming out of Ascari. He's not dead. He's definitely had a big spin. I'm just trying to get his wing. His wing is fine. He can continue, but I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to be in the pits. I think he's going to get mediums on. I think he's going to take him to the end of the Grand Prix. That is bad news bears, but our race leader with a 3-second time penalty shows that he's human after all.
Hugo is sitting there currently with no penalties. I believe this is also a staple. It's a staple of Williams in general. They don't really get that many penalties. And he is looking potentially, if he can keep it clean, for a race win.
Well, Hugo's has actually closed in what was a 4.8 second gap, and in just a couple of laps, he's got it down to 3.2 and 3.1 now. So Hugo's has very clearly got a gifted talent when it comes to Monza. This guy knows this track so well, and where he can properly abuse the limits to get all the time in the world, he's closing in. This is fantastic. Like say, penalties being given to Patrick and Get Earned means Hugo's could actually take the race win today if he can keep it clean himself. Makes him make a mistake. Who's that in the wall? That's Alex Bud. Big crash from him.
Ascari claims another victim.
Safety car.
Safety car. Safety car. So now you're going to see right now all the drivers. So starting with Patrick, everyone is coming in. Yeah. This is the perfect opportunity for it. Patrick and Get Owned were in the perfect part of the track for that safety car to come out. So everyone's coming in.
Poor some idiot. He's going to get double stacked here. Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Although at the same time, there is a little bit of a gap behind him, so it might not be too bad. Let's see, where's his teammate coming out now? His teammate's about to go. He's left, so yep, he's not been held up that much. This actually might not work out too badly for him.
Well, he's coming out just
Yep.
there. So he comes out behind Dennis.
He's lost the position to Dennis and to Zones by the looks of things, but I mean he would have lost that to in fact Zones and Vex were already in front, yeah, so he's only really lost the position to Dennis.
Oh no, I've just realised, all those people that were started on the mediums are in such a bad way now. They're all, they can't go softs, they have to go hards. That's why you're seeing Danico, Safso, Yonti all going for the hard compound tire, Top Tom in the same boat. Vanny's actually opted for softs. I think he's going to go softs, which I don't think that's the right call. But realistically now, when I said earlier the alternate strategy is really OP on this circuit, it is. As long as you don't get yourself any issues. And no, Vex's got a severe penalty with Dennis, and I'm pretty certain I saw a bit of front wing missing there for Dennis.
I'm just trying to look and see. I think he's... Yeah, he is. He's missing his end plate, his left end plate. That's heartbreaking for Dennis.
I mean, there was obviously sufficient contact between the two, but I don't think the penalty would really... I mean, I don't know. I didn't see exactly what caused it. Usually, the circumstance comes down to the driver behind is usually the person at fault, because you're meant to leave sufficient space between you and the driver ahead so that this can't happen. He may chuck himself into the pits anyway and go into a brand new set of mediums along with the front wing. If I was him, I would do that, because otherwise you're just going to get swamped.
Yep, I would do the same. As you say, he's already been on the soft tyres, so he doesn't need to pit again. He's done his two tyre compounds, so get on the medium tyres. You will at least be faster than everyone that's had to go onto the hards. So you'll catch up to the back, you'll have to make some moves, but you're going to have a difficult time. Vanya is coming into the pits now as well, so maybe he accidentally stuck on the softs.
Dennis also got a 5-second penalty, which he has just served now in the pit lane. So that's good news for him as well, to an extent. The bad news is, though, is that he will... he's not able to appeal it now. Because if he was appealable, obviously if we didn't know that, but if it was appealable, then now it's no longer appealable. Yeah,
but to be honest, I quite like the idea of getting in and serving your penalty under the safety car anyway. Yes, you probably shouldn't, but realistically, for that, you know that's one that's most likely on the borderline about whether it will get dropped or not. So if you think, I can serve this and then still catch up and not really lose anything, you might as well do that, because then you don't get that applied at the end. You know, you're just straight racing. You don't have to try and worry about gaps or anything. Just do what you need to do on track, defend and go.
Yeah. So, Patrick Seapost is still your race leader. However, with that penalty added to himself right now from corner cutting or extending track limits, he will actually fall at least behind Hugo's. I mean, the other two drivers behind Hugo's also have penalties of their own. So that is, to be expected that you're going to see that. Remember, Vexit does have a 5-second penalty for contact, which, providing he doesn't have to pit again, actually will probably be appealable. Again, don't know the circumstances as to what happened between him and Dennis exactly, but I imagine it wasn't the fault of the driver ahead, unless he hard braked and slammed in on Dennis.
Yeah, it's usually not the driver in front that causes these issues. Again, there will be footage somewhere, so I'm sure the stewards will be able to review that and let us know if they see it, or they might have to wait post-race before they can get the footage. But right now, again, Vexit, if he's not planning on pitting again, he just needs to get that out of his mind and just focus on doing everything he can to keep his race, the rest of his race, incredibly clean, and hopefully that penalty gets removed and he jumps up a few places.
So we are seeing incidences where penalties are just becoming a bit too big a problem for a few of the drivers. I mean, look at it. Look at it across the board. 3 seconds for Patrick, Geturned, and Zones. A 5-second there for Vexit. 3 for Yonti. 6 for Phoenix and Danico. 3 for Brownie and Top Tom. 3 for Vania. And 10 for Higgsy. So it is sad times for them. But at the same time, has Dennis been in a second time, by the way? Yeah, he has.
Yes.
I know he's had 3 stops apparently.
Yep, so he came in, stuck on the medium tyre, decided that the medium, after the contact and the damaged wing, he decided that he would need to get a new wing. Came in, got the new wing, but they stuck him on hard tyres. So he then came back in again to put on medium tyres.
Good spot. I didn't see that, but in case you didn't see it, the bottom left corner, we just had a notification to let us know the safety car is in this lap. So it's down to Patrick Seapost to back the pack right on up here, and this is crucial because the run towards turn 1 is enormous. So you either go now or you wait and go a little bit later after Parabolica and just try and catch Ghetto and off guard. If he can build a nice healthy gap, I think he's gone. Yes, he is. He's gone for it. So that was now Ghetto and reading that quite nicely. He stayed well within his tow range. ERS is being utilized quite a lot there from Ghetto, and Hugo's in the same sort of position. Zone's also doing the exact same, but he's actually chosen not to get in the tow because I think he's worried he might actually overshoot the braking zone like he did earlier coming in towards turn 4-5. And in fact, he does come in towards turn 1 quite nicely. We'll see how everyone else down the back of the field does as well. There's a little bit of scrapping between them. There's a McLaren there. That is actually Florian getting on down the inside there. Oh no, there's a rotation. That's Copy. I think he actually lost that on his lonesome. I don't think there was any contact. He's just had a rotation. No wing damage for him, so he's going to have to continue as he is.
I'm not too sure. It looked like Vanier might have been involved in that, but yeah, unfortunate for Copy, and that puts him dead last.
And I've just seen Vanier go for an absolute yeet down the inside of Dennis there into turn 4-5. Dennis just getting himself a penalty as well. I was about to mention that earlier, that he'd actually done so well to not get one, which I'm glad I didn't mention it because that would have absolutely been my fault. But it isn't, so I'm good with that. Rainbow on the back of Brownie. He does have a 5-second penalty to add at the end of his race, despite it not showing it there. I promise you he does. It's because the stewards, our real-life stewards, have issued him that penalty due to the contact he had with Vanier on lap 1.
Yeah, I'm just having a look here at Some Idiot. Obviously, he's doing a great race. He's kept it very clean, and he's actually, keeping a very good good pace to the drivers in front. Obviously, right now the entire pack's together again, and Patrick hasn't been able to break out that 1 second as he managed before. So this train will become very important if it sticks together.
Dennis and Vanier going into it side by side in towards turn 1. There's a bit of carnage between the two of them. A bit of a lag spike there for Dennis, it looked like, and he will fall back behind Vanier, and that has not allowed him to get the position. But it is also more crucially broken the gap between the train and them. So now they're fighting for nothing. Greed has taken over. Oh, Dennis just very nearly got into the back of Vanier there. Vanier's had a bit of a rotation there, but he's kept himself pointing in the right direction. And now Dennis is looking for Lesmo 1. Cannot get himself in. Zones gets another penalty. His race is going from bad to damn right horrific.
Yeah, he's also right now stuck behind Hugo's, who is losing that train of Get Owned and Patrick. So again, Get Owned and Patrick are just looking like they have something extra this weekend that no one else has, Patrick specifically.
So I've been told the incident between Vanier and Copy, which I assume was the turn 1 incident that caused Copy to rotate, will be investigated after the race. So we're not going to see any penalties being issued for now, but DRS is enabled. We're about to go properly aggressive.
Yep, and Hugo's has just managed to get himself back into that 1 second, so that's great news for him. So he will, if he maintains this, stick within the DRS, but he is so borderline on whether he's getting it.
Top Tom managed to get a nice little move done on Safso there in towards turn 1. Safso did back out pretty early. He didn't want to get involved in that fight at all. He said, well, just go. I'll just stay with you. And I think that's the right decision. The gap is already 1.3. If he can use Top Tom to close that gap right back in again, then yeah, the right call has been made. And the gap is breaking down quite nicely. Bit of a mistake there for Top Tom. Patrick Seapost, though, he's getting himself another penalty, and suddenly Get Owned, who was the first of them to get penalties, is actually looking really good to get the race win here. If he can get rid of Hugo's, because he's the only real spanner in his works. If Hugo's continues this penalty-free streak and manages to stay within the train, Hugo's is going to get the win.
Yep, Hugo's is having a fantastic race, but I would so love to see Get Owned with a race win after what seemed like he was being denied one last week. He had a fantastic race, and then a penalty under the safety car dropped him right down the order. So it would feel like cosmic justice if he's able to get this win. But right now, he's got the problem in front of him of Patrick, and he's got the problem behind him in front as Hugo's. So he needs to just keep the rest of his race clean and see what he can do to solidify his position.
Rainbow's going for a move here on Safso. That's a bit of a late break, and he locks up, but he does keep himself very nicely on the line, and that is another position gain for him. He's not yet in that point-scoring position, though. He does have to work on Top Tom, and then he has to consider in his current 5-second penalty, or at least it'll be a 2-second if you count in Top Tom's penalties. Yep, he's only got 3. So Rainbow will need to get his skates on and get past him quickly.
Yeah, and it looks like Patrick maybe just isn't pushing as hard as he was earlier. Maybe he's worried about getting more penalties. So that's just allowing Hugo's to stay nicely within this train now. And that, as I say, that train now goes down all the way to Some Idiot. And Some Idiot is someone that we know keeps his race clean and usually gains a few positions at the end due to penalties. So he is looking to gain from this, from the drivers around him. Currently, Zones on the 6 seconds is falling kind of well down the order, but Some Idiot will be getting picked up from Zones and Vexit. Definitely, potentially could get owned depending on how far he gets, moves up. And if he gets get owned, he'll be getting Patrick. Yeah,
this would be magnificent for Williams if they can get this locked in. Yeah, he's about 4/10 away from Patrick. Sorry, he's actually within Geton's current penalty range.
He's about a 10th within, so that would put him currently on P2 and Hugo's P1. But obviously we're still 10 laps to go, so 11 if you include this one. So don't want to jump the gun, but right now he is within the zone.
Danico is looking for Phoenix Legend in towards turn 4-5. Phoenix Legend goes a little bit late on the brakes, but he manages to lock himself in. Who was that? That was Top Tom who went for a move down the inside of Danico. Bit of contact between them. And now this allowed Rainbow to get on the inside of Top Tom. Suddenly, the medium runner of Rainbow is now into the point-scoring positions, and he has to get a move on even further than this because he has to give more than enough time to cover that 5-second penalty and also get ahead of everybody ahead of him, which right now he's looking very quick, but 9% ERS. That's not looking good.
No, but you could try and charge that a little bit just now because he's got a little bit of a train in front of him. 3 cars that are all within the DRS zone of each other. So that gives him a little bit of time to charge that ERS back up and just use the DRS. You're on fresher tyres, you're on medium tyres when everyone else is on hards. So utilise this, regain your ERS, and then try and make a move. But he's still burning through it. He's still hitting that overtake button. And right now it's put him below 10%. And when you're below 10%, you do not have the same power as you do when you're over 10%. So this is actually slowing him down in the long run by utilising that button.
Yep, his engine is very much Kimi Raikkonen. And you will not have the drink, is what is basically telling him. But this nice little train here for top 5. Oh, it's just been ruined. Vex has got off into the gravel. He's off into the wall as well. He's had a mare of a time. Did he reset or did the camera just change? I don't think he reset. That looked like a camera change. Oh no!
He's off again.
Has he kept his front wing intact? I think he has, but yeah, he can't go.
Yes, he has.
But look at all these cars. He's literally parked now. He can't move anywhere. And now he can go. Finally, all the way down in P17.
That's a nightmare for Vexit. But what this has actually done is potentially completely ruined Some Idiot's race. He is now 2 seconds off the train, and we know how powerful that train is. So just from that one mistake from Vexit, Some Idiot is going from a P2 right down to potentially only getting P4.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to count chickens purely because I have seen Some Idiot in these scenarios before, and it's like he just channels another human altogether. He is absurdly quick under these circumstances. So just monitor it, see what he can do. But he does, it's a very difficult task to bring himself back into this now. In for a podium run-in position. But either way, regardless, I mean, Hugo's is looking still dead set on taking this win. Vexit has gone into the pits and retired. Yeah, Some Idiot now is in such an awkward position.
Yeah, he's got plenty of gap behind him. You know, Yonte is further down the order. Yonti being on the hard tyres, obviously.
Oh,
that.
Patrick with 9. That's
and this
9
is what we were
seconds.
saying earlier. This is what we'd said about Patrick, is he just does not seem to keep it clean. He's got pace, but he does not have it refined, and this is going to cost him a race victory.
Yeah.
There is almost no way he can win this race now.
Well, I don't think it's just cost him a race victory. It's also cost him a podium. Like, he's losing so much due to all these penalties, and, you know, we've still got 8 laps to go. Like, this is bad news bears for him to a whole new level. He had a big spin in Hungary, got collected brownie, and that obviously caused him to get a huge penalty. Not penalty, sorry, wing damage. And then, look, now he was looking the most dominant I've ever seen him be. And he's literally thrown his own race in the bin here. This is all on him.
Yep, and right now that will put him P5. Even after penalties are applied. You know, Zones is within that 3-second margin that he needs with his 6 seconds of penalties. So from first to P5, basically just because you're not staying within the track.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a quick penalty rundown as we think it's going to be a little bit quieter temporarily. There are still a lot of battles going on, but everyone's kind of happy to sit in the train, effectively. So, from top to bottom, Patrick has 9 seconds, Geton has 3, Hugo has 0, Zones has 6, Somebody has nothing, Yonti has 3, Phoenix Legend has 12, Danico has 6, Rainbow has none, except for the 5 that he's getting from the stewards post-race. Top Tom has 6, Florian has 3, along with Brownie who also has 3, Savso has 6, Dennis has 6, Higgsy has 16, Vania has 6, and Copy has 0.
Yeah, it's been a very penalty-fueled race, and I've just been keeping an eye on Samidia, and unfortunately, he is dropping behind the guys in front.
Yeah.
That gap is increasing, and what looked so certain to be a P2 is kind of just slipping out with his fingers.
Zones has just slipped on by Hugo's. This is actually disastrous for Hugo's because now he's more at risk of not getting get earned. Like, this was a race win that could have been his. Phoenix Legend also went for a move on Yonti. He's got himself up to P6, but the penalties and the back-end kick-out will mean Yonti will just take that right on back and continue as he was before. But now he has to worry about the person in his mirrors. Keep an eye out for that, because also Danico is getting attacked by Rainbow. Rainbow's going to have to go around the outside here because Danico takes the inside, but he does bring himself back to the racing line just nicely to hold himself in there. Top Tom in P10 with Florian hunting him down. Florian's looking for some sort of points here, but man, the penalty situation is not going to benefit him much at all. I think he still gains on Rainbow regardless, but we shall see later on. It's hard for Hugo's. He really wants to get a move on and close back in on Get Earned, but yeah, I feel like if he doesn't find a way past Zones, he's just going to lose this 3-second gap.
Yeah, and to be honest, this move that Zones has made on Hugo's also doesn't help Zones. As Zones runs a little bit wide there, potentially picking up another warning. But if Zones doesn't get back in right up to get owned and build up a gap, this does not help Zones. The fighting of Hugo's is slowing him down, putting him more into the pack behind. You know, and that 6 seconds that he's got, he's going to drop. So unless they start lapping faster than all the guys behind, obviously he's not really going to lose out much to Phoenix Legend. Now, as Phoenix Legend just manages to overtake Yonti going into turn 1.
Oh,
you know.
Top Tom and Brownie, sorry, they've just gone through. Danico did give Yonti a little bit of a kiss on the backside there. Yonti did catch it. There was no damage for Danico. So ultimately, nothing to worry about. But look at Florian and Top Tom. Top Tom's also been trying to attack Rainbow. He's going to have a look down the inside of Rainbow. Huge lunge into turn 4-5. I think he's about locked himself in, but he has forced Rainbow off the track and got him a penalty. That will more than certainly be contestable. But Brownie's involved in this mix too. He's also here with Florian in the McLaren. This is going to be a very tense final 5 laps.
Yep, Florian there just closed the door really kind of late on Brownie. Completely fair, but you know, it was one of those moments where for Brownie it would have definitely been quite scary as the door was closed in front of him and he had to kind of like back out. But yeah, it was an opportunistic move there available for Brownie to go for, and it almost paid off.
Yeah, it was so close. I don't think necessarily that Top Tom deserves a penalty for the move he did on Rainbow, but I think Rainbow will be a bit unhappy about him getting that warning and the penalty that resulted in it. So, providing he can keep himself clean a little bit more from the warnings perspective, Rainbow may be able to contest that and get that penalty removed or at least the warning remove, which should in turn remove the penalty. Hugo's back in on the rear end of zones, very much closed in. Is starting to see his problem. He's starting to realize the gap between him, actually Yonti and Phoenix Legend and Daniko. Daniko in for a move here on both of them. He almost locked it in, but he went a bit too deep. He's fallen to P7. Yonti is back into P6. I think overall, penalty-wise, he's the better out of all of them behind him up until Florian. So realistically, Yonti doesn't have to fight. Phoenix Legend is looking for Daniko. He's actually had to back out quite early, flick back over to the racing line, but he's actually made a bit of a mistake there because Rainbow's down the inside. There's Phoenix Legend gone off track, brings himself back on again with Top Tom just about getting through as well. There are so many mistakes, so many scraps going on, especially with Dennis and Brownie. They're also having a little fight. Brownie's stuck on the outside for Lesmo too. Has just about kept himself within track limits, but Florian and Phoenix Legend have a little bit of contact. This is chaos. Dennis is looking to try and get past Florian, but so is Brownie. Florian's trying to get past Phoenix Legend. Phoenix Legend is just staring at his mirrors, hoping he doesn't get taken out here, and he's gone a bit too deep into Ascari. Mistakes are being made left, right, and center. Surely we're going to see a death. How is no one dead? How are they still going? Dennis gets past Florian. He's working his way towards Phoenix Legend, and everyone is still alive.
And this is going to be happening for lap after lap. This train is so powerful. And now you can see Florian right on the gearbox of Dennis again. He's trying to make the move up the inside. Dennis was a little bit wide. This is fantastic. Dennis is now going to try and make the switch back on him, which is great. He's got the slipstream. He'll have the DRS when it becomes active. This entire train is just going to be swapping places every lap.
Yeah. I mean, Florian's just taken two, going through into Parabolica and then into turn 1. Phoenix Legend just a little bit out of shape there through turn 1, and a bit of a mistake there from Dennis. He nearly loses the rear end, but he has kept himself together. Now Phoenix Legend is in with a shot of getting Florian, but this is for a final point position. They've been scrapping so much, they've now lost the gap between Florian and Top Tom, which is effectively DRS territory. So Florian is now at risk. He has to burn whatever he's got left, which is not very much of his DRS, in order to close back in and hope that he can somehow attack once more. The Zones is still going for a maneuver if he can on Get Owned. Bear in mind that later. But Hugo's is in a better position realistically when the penalties are all considered.
Yeah, but right now Hugo's is actually outside of that 3-second window that he needs for... Oh no, he's actually dipped back in it. I eat my words. He did fall outside the 3-second window that he needed for Get Owned, but he has regained that. He will hope that he can stay there. Right now he's in it by about 2/10. So yeah, the more fighting he does with zones, the kind of worse it gets for him. So, you know, if he's just trying to egg zones along right now, that will probably be the best for him. But here we go with Phoenix Legends on Florian. Once again, coming into turn 1, he's got the overspeed, he's got the DRS, and he's managed to make move stick about halfway down the straight. So a nice and easy move for him.
Yeah. I mean, Hugo's now, yeah, he's losing this. He's losing this P1. He has to get past Zones. I don't think Zones is intentionally slowing down. I think he's just naturally losing pace. And this way Hugo's is seemingly in his element. But he's really struggling to just get through. It's actually Florian and Dennis. They were going side by side through turn 4-5, and Dennis had to take the runoff area just to avoid himself going into a collision with him and Florian. Higgsy has retired from this Grand Prix in the pit lane, so there's no safety car expected to be seen. Top Tom in with DRS of Rainbow. I think he has got a fair few penalties to his name, though, hasn't he? Yeah, 6 seconds, but Rainbow's got himself 8. I don't even know where he got all 8 from.
Well, he's got the 5 seconds on our side, and as far as I can see, he should only have the 3 seconds in game, I think.
Also to note,
unless he's had another serious collection.
Also to note, Hugo's is in... Oh, he's going for a move here. He has to go for this move. A very late lunge is what he's needed. He's going to have to get off that brake a little bit more. Just clip at the inside. Oh, there's so nearly contact between the two of them. And then again, Zones holds on to it just about, but his back end is getting very lively. Hugo's is using everything to get past Zones, and he has to. He cannot delay anymore. He's just within that 3-second margin for Get Owned. The race win is still his, but Zones is looking to try and ruin his day by just taking it away from him physically on the track, but also extending that penalty range over the 3-second margin. But Hugo's has got P3 locked in now. It's all about this P2 towards P1. He has to get everything deployed to the track. We're on the penultimate lap. We're almost there at the end of the Grand Prix, and Hugo's could take this win.
Yep, and Get Owned's actually managed to save up a lot of his ERS, so this is the time. He needs to dump everything he has. He does not want to cross the line with anything more than 10% of his ERS. So this lap, burn everything you can and try and get that 3-second margin. He's got a 10th to find.
Oh, Rainbow's gone on Yonsei. Wow, that was a beautiful move from Rainbow. Just went in towards Ascari, managed to make that work beautifully, got on the inside. And now actually Top Tom's looking to do the same thing, but to Yonsei. He's trying to get around the outside here. He's actually had to lift off just a touch, just to make sure that he doesn't ruin the run in towards Parabolica, because he knows P7 is potentially his. A little gap has just opened down the inside. Top Tom wants it, but he has to feather the throttle quite nicely, because he will lose the back end if he doesn't. And now it's a DRS drag race all the way down towards turn 1. Who's got the 1-1 wings and who's got the toe? And it looks like Top Tom is the favoured one, but Yonsei has the toe. This could certainly become a big problem for Top Tom. Into the braking zone, Top Tom goes a bit deep, just gets himself ahead of Yonsei, but the exit is crucial. Phoenix Legend getting himself another penalty down at the back there. Hugo's is still within the 3-second margin here of Geton, but he has to figure a way to stay within it. As we told, like you said, Geton has a lot more ERS, but he does have a car physically ahead of him that will stop him from getting the position and the time gained.
Yep, Yonsei right now is actually not really losing anything because he has less penalties than the guys in front. So he hasn't really lost any of these positions that he's lost on track, provided he can stick with them and finish this race there. So he's bound to gain some positions, as Hugo's is just outside that 3-second margin. Can he do it? Can he stay within that 3 seconds? He has half a tenth.
And he has no ERS. He's there 3-second right now as they come round the final corner. Geton makes a bit of a wobble. This might allow Hugo's to return. He's back in the 3 seconds. Patrick is coming to line. He'll take the win. Geton will actually physically get it, but Hugo's might just miss. He gets it! He gets the win! Hugo's! What an animal!
Well,
91 thousandths of a second to lock in the race win. Hugo's is a machine.
That's just incredible. This is some idiots on the podium. Williams, hands down, that was incredible. Consistency, clean driving. The two Williams boys will have first and third. What looked like for somebody losing out of the podium completely by losing the train, he still managed to get in there. He managed to sneak into that P3 slot. Patrick's down in P4 after leading this race from start to finish, but just couldn't keep it clean. Hugo's, take a bow.
Yeah, absolutely take a bow. What a fantastic drive from him. I mean, there was a moment, I'll be honest with you, when Zones went for the move and got past him, there was a moment where I thought, that's it. That's his race win done. But 91 thousandths, that's all it was that separated Geton from getting his win or getting P2. And yeah, Hugo's. I mean, listen, I know Danico got the in-game driver of the day, but for me, Hugo's absolutely deserves driver of the day. That was a fantastic drive from him.
Yeah, I agree, to be honest. You know, he's we love to see it when drivers manage to keep completely penalty free, and he done that. You know, yes, he started P4, so he wasn't really overtaking that many people, but keeping it clean and consistent. It just drove such a spectacular race, and yeah, you know, Danny Cole, fair play. You came from, you know, dead last, but realistically, that was your own fault for crashing in qualifying.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of guys that you could overtake and put on a good show, but Hugo's clean, consistent, right from the qualifying right to the end of the race. He's just drove a fantastic weekend.
Oh man, what a race. But this is the rundown at the end of that Grand Prix. So Hugo's gets the race win with Geton there in P2. Some idiot manages to lock in that P3 by, you know, Clean Williams Racing. That's their name going forwards. Penalty free for both drivers. Gives them huge points. I don't know exactly how much that helps them when it comes to the overall constructors' growth, but Williams are closing in so much now on Geton and his McLaren run. Florian didn't score any today, but we'll finish the rundown, which is Patrick P4. Did cross the line P1, but like we said, penalties did cost him, and he fell down to P4. Zones getting P5 and the fastest lap means he will gain that extra point. Yonti there in P6. Despite all the scrapping, he still managed to keep it pretty clean and locked in a beautiful P6. Danico P7 from P19. Really good show from him. Strategy did work. Safety car helped him, but at the same time, he still scored big points for his team, so P7 for him. Brownie, P8, Top Tom, P9, and Rainbow getting the final point scoring position provisionally because I think he's actually going to lose that when the 5 seconds are added by the stewards, which will mean Florian will then gain a point. Vania, P12, Dennis, P13, Safsa, P14, Phoenix Legend, 15th, Copy, 16th, and then we lost Higgsy and the other two. God, who was the other two?
It was Vexit and Alex.
Yes, yes. Oh, right. Interview time. Let's go and hear from the drivers. I cannot wait to hear from these Williams guys. Oh my word, that was fantastic. Let's go grab them now. Let's obviously get the man that's usually the most emotional driver on the grid. And for me, a little bit of a fan favorite. It is the lad himself, Some Idiot. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How about you guys?
Blown away. That race was insane. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, first of all, for demonstrating that by being clean and consistent, you can gain huge amounts of points. I do want to quickly talk about the start of the race, because it looked a little bit scary for you. Just talk us through the opening few laps.
Right. So I got a decent start. I was thinking to cover the outside into T1, but then I saw I had momentum both on Hugo and Vexit. I did not want to pass Hugo to my inside. I thought if there's some momentum I can build from the outside, I'll take it, but I didn't want to make a 3-wide situation into T1. So I just tried to cover to the top. I tried to find a lane, get to the top. Then I don't know if it was Dennis who got to my inside or someone. I thought I almost killed Dennis at the start. I want to say that now. If I had killed him, I'd feel horrible because I didn't think he was going to be there on my right rear tire. I don't know. I don't think he got damaged, thankfully. It looked like he got through it okay. Then we're just battling for position. I saw Vexit and Hugo were battling for position. I was looking for some sort of momentum through De La Rogia chicane, through the Lesmos, anywhere, but I couldn't find anything. And then, bam, we're just into the train. And we just zoom along in the DRS train.
Now, today was, and I've said this earlier at the very beginning of the broadcast, but Williams as a whole have done such a fantastic job as a full unit. You know, with Falsetti, they're giving you the data, and then you both working together, as in you and Hugo's working together to lock in some huge constructors' points. This result now brings you so much closer, if not taking constructors' lead. Is that your aim? Are you aiming for constructors' championship?
We can do it. We can do it. I mean, Get Owned and Zones are in their own stratosphere for most part in points. They would take basically nigh on a miracle to get back to them, but the constructors, like I said, you know why I brought Hugo, or we brought Hugo into Williams, because he can deliver like that. You just saw it right there. That man can deliver. He's a hell of a driver. That's why we wanted him. That's why we got him out of Racing Point to come do this. He's a fast as heck guy.
Yeah,
and he
really
just showed it right there. Get him in here. Get him in here for an interview, god dang it. Get him in here.
You're welcome to stay here when we go through, but we will be going to P2
Absolutely.
in a second.
Absolutely. I'll stay in here. But man, that's a heck of a recovery after last week. Disappointment of last week, everything that happened there. But then just to bring home another good result, that's all I can really ask for myself. And then Hugo did an awesome job.
Yeah.
Congrats to him on the win. I think it was Get Owned in P2, so congrats to him too. He's in his own stratosphere, like I said, and then I'm just trying to pick up whatever I can, ride out with whatever I can, and thankfully it got me P3 today, you know.
Now, next week is Singapore, if my brain serves me correctly.
You are correct. Yes, sir, you are correct.
Is this a track you're good at?
It's a good track for Hugo.
That's the one I asked.
It's not a great one for me. It's not a great track for me though, but I have a baseline that I'm gonna have to work on a bit more. I have never gelled well with Singapore on any F1 game. It's always been I need a race to go my way for it to go out in my favor. I can do a little bit tire management. I can do some stuff in the rain, but I need a little bit of something to go my way for me to have a good Singapore race. We'll see what happens. I haven't expected to get these good of results this season. You saw how it was last season. I think I had a stretch where I didn't get points for 6 straight races. I would nigh on never expect to be where I am right now. I'm thankful for that. But Singapore, we'll see what happens.
You've got to take some credit because you've put a lot of effort into improving your racecraft, improving your race pace, and it's showing. Look at today, a nice P3 purely down to your race pace and your racecraft and your consistency. So honestly, very well done. But I do need a prediction from you for solely yours, not your team, just you. Where are you finishing in Singapore?
Always aim for points. That's what I learned from last season. Is just don't oversell, undersell, and overdeliver if you can. And I say just get some good points, keep the momentum rolling into Russia. But I want to say one more thing about the Monza race. That DRS, that pack behind, did not look very fun to be in. Maybe for you guys, it was more fun to commentate, but it was. I was breathing a gigantic sigh of relief being not in that pack.
That looked honestly like from watching that pack, it was 5 wide at some points as everyone was
Yeah.
chopping and changing. It was genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really
that would be
was.
terrifying to be in for me. I would 100% say that. But
Well-
yeah, go ahead and get along with other people. I'm just one person.
You're welcome to stay in here, but congratulations on the P3. We are going to now move over to Get Earned and get our man in P2 here. Get Earned. I want to, first of all, before we even mention the race, I want to talk about your qualifying, because it looked like Patrick was going to just run away with this based on his 3/10 gap that he had between you and him from qualifying. Was there a bit more time you could have found?
Yeah, probably, but literally my worst track on the calendar. I'm happy that I even got P2.
Wait,
So-
this is your worst track on the calendar?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. I have zero confidence, and in
That
the
is
race,
throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
I just had
a
zero
slap.
pace. I literally had zero pace the whole race. I just used all my ERS to keep up with Patrick. And yeah, we basically managed to open a gap to P3 all the time. So
If you listen
Yeah.
carefully, you can almost hear Tomic. No, congratulations though on the P2. I do want to talk about the actual race as well, because initially you were the first to get the penalty for the consistency. Was at that point, did you think your race was done?
no, I was sure that Patrick would get a penalty as well. He usually gets a lot, and it happened as well, like today. And yeah, I mean, I knew that probably Hugo's and Samediat will get no penalties, so I tried to chuck in some good pace, but I mean the pace wasn't there. But Patrick was just like taking me with him in his slipstream and in his CRS, so that was basically the factor that got me a P2 today.
And it was only just a P2. You very nearly got the win. 91 thousandths was all it was between you and Hugo's, who we'll hear from in a minute. Do you think you could have done a little bit more on that final lap? Because that's just a little bit extra square of an overtake there, and you'd have had that.
I mean, I was looking at the delta coming into Parabolica, but I lost the rear, lost like 1/10. That cost me the win. But honestly, I take P2. It's literally my worst track, as I said. I'm happy that I even got P2. I don't know, this track, it just doesn't suit my driving style at all. I feel like I have zero grip all the time and no turn in.
Imagine, I'd love to be in your shoes where I've just lost a race win by 91 thousandths of a second, still finish in P2, and set ridiculous lap times like you have done, and still go, I had no pace, no traction, nothing. I had nothing. Everything was crap. Couldn't do anything. I would kill to be in your shoes. Okay, but no,
It's true. I've seen the bodies.
I mean, Patrick literally had so good pace. I was really scared that I will drop out of DRS. I mean, I dropped out of DRS for like one straight, and then I had to use all my DRS to get back in. And yeah, it's just crazy. And also after last week, I thought like my win got robbed after the virtual safety car. I was really triggered after the race, really triggered. But the day after, I was like, yo, it's actually fine. I think I can still win the championship. It's not over yet. But I mean, from now on, as I said, I mean, you can probably hear I'm not that satisfied with P2. The only thing that counts now is like winning every race, and I feel like the upcoming tracks definitely suit me better.
So that leads me on to my next question then. What's your prediction for Singapore?
I mean, I will just go full send, you know.
So you get P1?
I feel like in quali, I will be good, but in the race, I don't know.
I can literally hear the smile in your voice. I know you're getting that P1. Don't give me none of that nonsense. Anyway, look, we do need to move over to Hugo's. But so a massive congratulations on the P2. So close to getting that race win, but yeah, just slightly out.
I mean, could you please ask Hugo's what wings he was running? He was super fast on the straight. I was using all my ERS
Well,
all
if you
my
wait
ERS.
here, I'll move him in right
Yeah.
now. Hugos, hello, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
We'll talk about the race and the quali in just a minute. Geton has a question to ask you.
Hugo, so what wings did you run? Like 1-4 or?
It was 1-4, but
Really?
I
God.
I actually went up from 1-3. I had 1-3 before.
Oh my God. I knew it.
I was actually slower just because, I wanted to take it easy on you. All right, Hugos, qualifying. It didn't look bad by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we were still very quick, but it wasn't P1. Do you think there was a bit more you could have got out of the car?
Yes, I think in practice I was 2 tenths faster, so I think I maybe could have got a few more tenths out of the car. It was still a good enough lap for the second row.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying, it didn't look that good. Yeah, it was. Yes, it wasn't P1, but it was still ridiculously quick. And then coming into the race, the one thing I wanted to point out, and I spoke to somebody about this as well, Williams have done such a fantastic job of being clean and consistent that you're actually starting to make a name for yourselves on it. Is this something that you're rehearsing each week?
I think after that race, I think we've definitely got a big shout at going for the constructors. So
yeah, I mean, you're second in the constructors currently. You're actually looking really good overall to actually push yourselves even further, and maybe even take that constructors championship. But look, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, okay? The final few laps. You knew get earned out a penalty, almost certainly, because I know you've got some really solid Jeffs. But alongside that, your gap was right on that limit. You must have been sweating.
My heart rate was like the highest it's ever been. My whole life. I was just pushing so hard, and when I was fighting zones in the first chicane, I thought it was over because I felt like I lost a lot of time, but I had just enough ERS to get back up within the 3 seconds.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but Get-Owned actually made a very small mistake coming out of Parabolica on the very final lap, which literally cost him, in his own words, about a tenth. You won the race by 91 thousandths of a second. Do you have a clip of you crossing the line from your perspective? And what was your reaction?
I do. I started slamming the table a few times. Yeah. It was a good day.
You guys?
Yeah, if you have that, we were just freaking ecstatic.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to get that. I'd love to get that clip. There's one thing, like every time I see some idiot do well, I know there's going to be a good reaction coming with it, and I look forward to seeing the clips of it every single time. And now seeing how close that one was, yeah, you've got to link it in the league chat. I want to see it. But huge congratulations to all three of you for a massively great Grand Prix. From our perspective, it was fantastic to commentate, and it was really good to watch you guys run. So well done, all three of you.
Thank
you, sir.
Cheers.
That is it for the Rwagnation League Grand Prix here in Monza. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate for you. And also thank you to Badger for joining me. Mark, you are a lad. And I honestly love commentating alongside you every single time we get in the box. And I hope that this never ends. Stay mine forever.
I mean, just keep toting compliments on me and I will never leave you, baby.
Oh, damn. And on that note, it's time to end.